Tonight, a special edition of World News Tonight. 2 massacres in America. The chilling scene right here in El Paso and the horrific scene in Dayton, Ohio, too. The shooting rampage here in El Paso inside a Walmart. It's now being called domestic terrorism. Surveillance showing the alleged gunman armed with an assault-style rifle walking through the doors of a Walmart. At least 20 people killed, including a young mother, shielding her 2-month-old son from the gunfire, giving her life to save her son. Survivors running from the gunfire, looking for places to hide. And tonight, our interview with the police chief and what he revealed about the possible motive. The terror suspect allegedly posting a hate-filled anti-immigrant message before the attack, saying he was fighting an Hispanic invasion. And the deadly massacre in Dayton. 9 people killed. Authorities releasing dramatic surveillance images late today. The shooter and his victims now identified. And now we learned his sister is among those killed. Police responding in less than a minute. Tonight, President Trump in front of the cameras late today saying hate has no place in our country. Beto O'Rourke from El Paso joining several other Democratic candidates in pointing to the president's rhetoric about race and about immigration. They say playing into the hate in America. Tonight, will the president act? Will Congress act? With at least 29 people dead in 2 mass shootings just 13 hours apart. A special edition of World News Tonight begins now.
This is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir, reporting tonight from El Paso, Texas.
And good evening tonight from El Paso. We are here on this Sunday night as the nation mourns. Not 1, but 2 mass shootings in just 13 hours. At least 29 people killed in separate massacres, one here in Texas, the other, of course, in Ohio. We have been to so many of these, and the words, quite honestly, are harder and harder to come by to describe the anguish and the sadness on the faces of the families whose lives have been destroyed. Here in El Paso tonight, a gunman showing up at a Walmart on a busy Saturday morning. These surveillance images this evening obtained by KTSM showing the suspect armed with an assault-style rifle. Families then diving for cover from the gunfire that was relentless inside that store. There were thousands inside the Walmart running in fear, and I was told just today about the children who ran for their lives on their own. Stores nearby were on lockdown as police searched for the gunman, first responders helping the wounded, and of course discovering the dead. So many lives lost here, at least 20 dead and 26 injured. I talked with the police chief here just moments ago and what he revealed to me about the possible motive, why this suspect drove 600 miles to get here. Terrified families, their hands up in the air, running for their lives past armed police. Evacuating this El Paso mall. The first call coming in 10:39 Saturday morning.
Run, Mija, run.
There was chaos. Some of the shoppers recording as they made their escape, posting it online. SWAT teams responding to reports of an active shooter, and they soon realize that gunfire is inside the Walmart.
We need tactical units to go ahead and start responding to the help support at the Walmart.
Busting guns in Walmart, right? AK, somebody's got shot.
Inside the Walmart, thousands of shoppers, 100 employees. It was a busy Saturday morning, parents and grandparents and the children buying their back-to-school supplies.
All TAC units, investigative units, please make it to the west side of Walmart, please.
Tonight, authorities say 21-year-old Patrick Crucius was armed with an assault-style rifle, and authorities believe, based on what they've read and what they've heard from him, he was there to shoot as many Mexicans as possible. That mall here in El Paso is just 5 miles from the U.S.-Mexico border. The community from here in El Paso shops here, and so do residents of nearby Juarez, across the border. They come here into the U.S. to shop. Witnesses say the rampage began in the parking lot. The gunman, they say, shooting his way in.
He just walked into Walmart very confidently, and, it looked like he was on a mission.
These surveillance images obtained by KTSM show the alleged gunman walking through the entrance with his weapon pointed straight ahead, wearing ear protection and tactical glasses. Inside, shoppers, family members crawling on their stomachs, seeking cover under benches, whatever shelter they could find. Gunfire relentless. Kendall Long and his wife, Kiana.
She's seeing people running in, yelling, "Shooter, shooter."
So we take off running. After he sees people start running, you can hear the different fire rate. He starts pop, 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 pop. He's going for that semi. He's trigger finger. He's going.
They ran to the back of the store, hiding in a metal storage container.
You know, there's babies there, there's kids, there's people calling their family, calling the cops.
Outside, the entire area on lockdown.
The entire area is being searched as we speak.
Authorities for a time were not sure if there was more than one shooter.
We need people to stay away.
Adria Gonzalez was shopping with her mother. She said it was a normal morning until she heard that gun go off.
We heard like shots, like 3 shots. Boom, boom, boom. 1, 2, 3.
She told her mother to get down. And when she looked up, the suspect with the gun in his tactical gear, just 15 feet away.
He just started to shoot everyone. Just started to shoot. And what I did, my first instinct was to get people out of there. This senior citizen lady that I tried to help and I couldn't, and I just told her to move faster and she couldn't move faster, so I left her there and I needed to get out because the shooter was getting closer and closer, and so I was I just told her to get down and hide.
When they finally got outside, they saw the bodies. The gunshots continued. In the parking lot, confusion and panic.
She would have called. She has 7 kids, 20-something grandchildren, and I don't know how many great-grandchildren.
And this desperate plea, Edie Halber, searching for her mother, Angie, 86 years old and missing.
And I got tired of waiting and waiting and waiting, and I just want to know where my mom is.
We still have not heard if she found her mother. Inside that store, first responders helping the wounded. This woman covered in blood. Another woman wheeled out in a shopping cart. It appeared she'd been shot in the leg. The police chief here in El Paso at a loss for words.
You have to see it for yourself. When I first got into this job, I never knew there was an odor to blood, but there is. And until you firsthand see that, my description of it as far as horrific will be unserving as far as what that scene looks like.
About 20 minutes after that first shot was fired, they had the suspect in custody.
So far as the intel, we have one subject and he's in custody.
Police apprehending the suspect just a few blocks from the scene, leading him away in handcuffs.
Right now we have a manifesto from this individual that indicates to some degree it has a nexus to potential hate crime.
Authorities say the assault-style rifle, similar to an AK-47, and several magazines were recovered at the scene. And tonight, law enforcement telling ABC News Patrick Crusius is from Allen, Texas, 600 miles away from El Paso, nearly a 10-hour drive. And late today, the police chief here with us.
But he came here to El Paso, 600 miles.
Right.
Was it the makeup of this community? Was it your proximity to the border?
I think both.
And tonight, authorities and local officials here warning something must be done.
This individual came not from within the community, but outside of it. In this country, we have a gun violence epidemic, but we also have a hate epidemic. And until we confront that hate, and until we confront the weak gun laws that we have, we're going to keep seeing this.
At the centers where families are gathering and at the hospitals, the anguish. Families still anxious for news.
We're still looking for him. We haven't heard word of where he is.
Lita Jamrowski is just 19 years old, pleading for help, asking if anyone has seen her brother-in-law, Andre. They looked all night, but they haven't found him. And tonight, they are still looking.
We're just trying to put the word out there if anybody's heard from him or... If anybody hears anything, just give us a call. We're worried. We want to make sure he's okay.
Their search comes after her family already heard the unthinkable. Her 25-year-old sister, Jordan, a mother of 3, was killed. They believe she was shielding her 2-year-old son from the gunfire. Her sister, Lita, telling the Associated Press, from the baby's injuries, they said that more than likely, my sister was trying to shield him. So when she got shot, she was holding him and she fell on him. So that's why he broke some of his bones. But that he lived because she gave her life. That little boy, among the youngest victims here, ranging in age from 2 to senior citizens. And the toll here staggering, 20 dead and more than 24 injured.
What drove him? Was it hate?
Apparently so.
Tonight, the Justice Department says they're going to pursue, to the best they can, hate crimes charges, domestic terrorism charges here?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Manifesto pretty much validated that there was hate intent in what he did.
So the writings in this so-called manifesto match what he's been telling authorities?
Pretty much.
Police Chief Allen with us here late today, and the chief, along with so many other leaders in this community, were universal in their language here today, in their own messaging, saying something more needs to be done to protect communities across this country. And of course, we are thinking about those families still waiting for news on their loved ones tonight. And unlike so many other mass shooters, the El Paso gunman survived this attack. He was taken into custody. Tonight, he's now charged with capital murder. But federal authorities tonight have made it clear more charges could be coming, including hate crimes. They're calling this domestic terrorism based on the gunman's own words posted online. Here's ABC's Chief Justice Correspondent Pierre Thomas tonight.
Tonight, federal authorities are contemplating hate crime and domestic terror charges against the man accused of killing all those innocent people in an El Paso Walmart.
We are treating it as a domestic terrorism case, and we're going to do what we do to terrorists in this country, which is deliver swift and certain justice.
The FBI suspects the victims were targeted simply because they were Hispanic. Police are increasingly confident that the shooter posted his hate-filled anti-immigrant screed on social media minutes before carrying out the massacre. The killer writes of waging a culture war to stop what he called the Hispanic invasion of Texas.
The state charge is capital murder, and so he is eligible for the death penalty. We will seek the death penalty.
His alleged writing saying his weapon of choice, an assault-style rifle, that he studied the most efficient and damaging way to kill people. He wrote that he had been planning the attack at least a month in advance, and that his hate-filled beliefs were in place before President Trump took office.
Yes, he was forthcoming with information. He basically didn't hold anything back. Particular questions were asked, and he responded.
Pierre Thomas joined us live tonight from Washington. And Pierre, we also know in the suspect's alleged writings, he also said capture would be worse than dying.
David, in those writings, he bragged that he expected to fight and die in the attack, but he gave up with no fight. Police say no force was used in his capture. He looked docile, compliant upon arrest, even submissive, David.
Pierre Thomas with us live tonight as well. Pierre, thank you. And as this community here was dealing with the massacre and the horrific toll unfolding before their eyes, then the news of yet another massacre just 13 hours later, this time in Dayton, Ohio. A lone gunman attacking a popular area for nightlife in downtown Dayton. Surveillance showing people running from the gunfire there that killed 9 and injured 16. And tonight here, we now learn that among the dead, the gunman's own sister. ABC's Alex Perez is in Ohio tonight.
Downtown Dayton erupting in chaos, gunfire piercing the night just after 1 a.m.
We got shots fired. We got multiple people down. We're going to need multiple medics.
The area, called the Oregon District, packed with restaurants and bars.
We got several down. We have, looks like 9 or 10 shots.
This surveillance video shows people running for their lives and police engaging with the suspect.
Had a vest on, earmuffs, and just started blowing bullets everywhere. I'm safe. There is casualties everywhere.
At least 27 were hurt. Some shot multiple times as they fled.
I instantly started trying to run, but I realized my cousin wasn't on the side of me. When I looked back, is how I was able to see that people were actually falling from being hit by bullets.
Most of us can't get to our cars because there were bodies scattered all over.
First responders treating victims on the street. At least 9 people, 5 men and 4 women, were killed just hours after the massacre in El Paso. The alleged shooter, identified as 24-year-old Connor Stephen Betts, killed by police who say he wore body armor and a face mask, carrying an AK-style rifle and multiple high-capacity magazines.
In approximately 20 seconds, they engaged a suspect who was actively firing and attempting to enter a crowded liquor establishment.
Among the 9 victims, the gunman's 22-year-old sister, Megan Betts, and Lois Oglesby, who was just 27 years old.
Very heartbreaking, very, I never really experienced it, never really had to deal with someone that it hit so close to home. I just wish she would just wake up in a hospital and
David, at this point, authorities here in Dayton say they have not discovered a motive, but they have no reason to believe this attack was motivated by bias or connected to the El Paso shooting. David?
Alex Perez live from Dayton tonight. Alex, our thanks to you as well. The president, of course, monitoring developments from his club in Bedminster, New Jersey today, tweeting shortly after the word of the El Paso shootings came in, pledging federal support and later calling the attack an act of cowardice. A short time ago before leaving for Washington, saying hate has no place in our country. But tonight, President Trump's own words are coming under increasing scrutiny. Here's ABC's senior White House correspondent, Cecilia Vega.
Heading home from his New Jersey golf club, President Trump today vowing action but offering no specifics.
Hate has no place in our country, and we're going to take care of it.
His chief of staff used the alleged El Paso shooter's own words, saying the attack was not about President Trump.
I hate to draw attention to the manifesto, but if you actually go and look at it, what the guy says is that he's felt this way a long time before Donald Trump got elected president. No politician is to blame for that.
But many Democrats running against him say the president is directly to blame. Former Texas Congressman Beto O'Rourke, who calls El Paso home, says there's no question the president is fueling racism.
Calling those in Africa nations and saying that he'd like to have more immigration from Nordic countries, the whitest place on planet Earth today. He is an open, avowed racist and is encouraging more racism in this country.
Senator Bernie Sanders calling out President Trump point blank, tweeting, "Mr. President, stop your racist, hateful, and anti-immigrant rhetoric. Your language creates a climate which emboldens violent extremists." Just 3 months ago, this scene at a rally in Panama City Beach, Florida. President Trump at first laughing when a supporter in the crowd suggested shooting immigrants.
But how do you stop these people? You can't. There's no... That's only in the panhandle you can get away with that statement.
And this spring, in the Oval Office, the president said he does not view white nationalism as a growing threat.
Do you see today white nationalism as a rising threat around the world? I don't really. I think it's a small group of people that have very, very serious problems.
And now the president says he plans to deliver remarks tomorrow morning right here at the White House. It is unclear exactly what he plans to announce at this time. David, tonight, the flags here are flying at half-staff.
All right, Cecilia Vega with us live from the White House. Cecilia, thank you. We are learning more tonight about the horror of this El Paso attack from those who actually survived it, among them a mother who was actually shot by the gunman and then who pretended to be dead in order to stay alive. ABC's Will Carr also here in El Paso tonight.
Maribel Latin was raising money for her daughter's soccer team outside of Walmart when the attacker started firing.
He shot 8 rounds. I had to pretend I was dead. And all I could say is, God, please take care of my children.
Latin coming face to face with the killer.
He was the calmest person ever. He didn't say anything. Just plain hatred and just anger.
The gunman shot Latin in her arm and foot. He also wounded Norma Coca's daughter and son-in-law, her grandson, a witness to the carnage.
The ladies died, their parents getting shot. Grandsister, my mommy got shot. Grandma, my mommy got shot. They saw things that children their ages, no children in any world should see things like that.
I asked that victim what her message is tonight to the gunman. She wants him to know that hate does not cure hate. David.
Will Carr with us here in El Paso. Thank you, Will. The other stories making headlines tonight, the beach tragedy in Southern California. Police say 3 family members were killed when a 30-foot slab of rock slid off a cliff at Grandview Beach. The family was there to celebrate after Elizabeth Cox recently beat breast cancer. Her sister and niece also trapped beneath tons of sandstone. Authorities say the collapse was caused by beach erosion. And 3 shark attacks in just 2 days at New Smyrna Beach, Florida. Authorities reporting a man was bit while today was standing in knee-deep water. 2 surfers recovering from shark attacks minutes apart just yesterday, and everyone is expected to recover. Finally tonight here from El Paso, 2 communities in shock, in mourning, and coming together tonight. In El Paso, at St. Pius Church here, a congregation holding hands, embracing one another, wiping away tears as they pray. This sign reading, "We are resilient, we are strong, we are El Paso, we stand together." And in Dayton tonight, the scene of that massacre now silent. At the Levitt Pavilion, the community has gathered hand in hand to pay their respects. The signs there reading, Dayton Strong. One nation standing for both of these communities tonight in support and in solidarity. I'll be leading the coverage first thing in the morning here from El Paso on Good Morning America. And of course, we'll be right here again tomorrow night for World News Tonight. From all of us here